Julie. Hi,
Yes.
Julie. How are you?
Hi, pleasure to speak with you today
Good to speak with you. Where are you calling me from? Or wait a
from
minute.
Greensboro, North
Wait a minute.
Carolina.
My sixth grade teacher did. From where are you calling me? Is the way I'm supposed to say it. Greensboro.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So tell me what's your dilemma today?
Absolutely. Thank you for the book, How to Get a Date Worth Keeping. That's been wonderful. I'm learning more about
Oh,
myself.
you know
Yes.
what? That that was one of the most fun projects because it didn't start out. Do you know the story on that? Have you ever heard me tell the story about where that book came from?
Yes, and I'd love to hear it again.
Oh well, I won't. Well, I'll tell it. I'll tell real quick for others. But I didn't set out in life to become a dating coach, right? But it was a number of years ago. I was out on the road speaking a lot, as I do, and I'd go from city to city. And it seemed like there was this time period. It's almost like God was throwing something at me. Like every time I would give a talk in a different city, like three women would walk up to me. It's always three. I don't know why. But they go to the bathroom together. They come talk to the speaker together. And so, three women would walk up and they'd go, "Can we ask you a question?" And I'd say, "Yeah." And they go, "Why aren't we dating?" I go, "I don't know. Why aren't you dating?" No, we want to be dating, but we're not. And they would be nice and attractive and smart and interesting. And I go, "There's no reason you shouldn't be dating." But I kept hearing this over and over and over and over. And finally, one day it was in Daytona Beach, Florida. Three women walked up to me and they said, "Can we ask you a question?" And I said, "Stop. I'll tell you what the question is. The question is, why aren't you dating?" And they said, "How'd you know that?" I said, "I get asked this all the time." So I said, "I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm going to find out." And I started a research project where literally for about a year to a year and a half, I put groups together across the country. And I said, I'm going to crack the code on why singles who want to be dating aren't dating. And I researched it. And you know what? There were real reasons. But the cool thing is they were solvable reasons. And so
Mm.
that's that's where that book came from. And I was talking about it in an event one day, and my publisher happened to be in the audience, and she said, "Oh, you have to write that book." I said, "I'm not going to write a dating book." She goes, "Yeah, you are." So that's how it happened. So anyway, I'm glad you like it. So what is your question?
Love it. I really want someone who challenges me. The other day you were talking about there are people who like to sustain and people who always want more. And there's not a
Yeah.
bad or a good. That's the way we're wired. And I want more. And I want to be with someone who challenges me and gets it out. So, with that being said, I'm curious, what are some of the behaviors of someone who is motivating versus controlling?
Oh, that is a great question. That's a really great question. And it sounds like I'm talking to a woman that has some experience with one of those. Now, you don't have to tell me his name, but what about his motivating behavior felt like a slave driver to you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what did he do?
Well, yeah, manipulative, but really I've been attracted to passive guys, and going through all the dates like you recommend has really helped me understand that I'm looking for someone who's more challenging.
Yeah, so where did it get controlling? Where have you experienced it as controlling? Or is this all theoretical?
Theoretical. It's been passive guys for the most part.
Julie, now come on.
Yes.
It's just you and me here. Where has a guy been a little aggressive or opinionated or pushy and it turns you off?
Long time ago was dating a guy who would tailgate other cars. He would drive too closely, and I would voice my concerns, and he would disregard them.
Okay.
Things like that, or yeah.
So is that what you're referring to as controlling?
I'm more just becoming aware of how I really want someone who challenges me, and
Pushes you.
yet I don't. Sorry.
And yet what? You don't what?
And yet, when I think about that kind of person, I just don't know the difference between, like, how would someone be motivating to me and yet me still be able to have autonomy in the relationship.
Okay,
so
I'm gonna give you the theoretical answer here, which is true, but I also am gonna ask you to delve deep into your memory banks after we get off the phone here. And I bet you know some guys in your life that are aggressive in the good way and pushy in the bad way or controlling, because this question is coming from somewhere, right? And so I
right.
ultimately, here's what you got to do. You've got to ask yourself the question, at what juncture does force coming at me, at what juncture does that start to crack my feeling of being free? All right.
Okay.
That's the question. See, everybody has this circle of freedom to some degree on a scale of 0 to 10. Some people don't feel free to say, could I have a drink of water when they're at somebody's house? You know, that much freedom. Or when somebody else says, you know, can I have your drink of water? They don't feel the freedom to say no. Other people all the way to the other end feel the freedom. They don't care what anybody thinks. They just do whatever they want. And they have perfectly strong boundaries and are able to say no to anybody's pressure. So Julie is somewhere on that line. And when you start dating a guy and he starts to challenge you, I want you to go out 40,682 dates with aggressive guys, okay, in a safe place. And so you can get in touch with your head. All right. And then I want you to get in discussions as you're meeting a lot of different guys. And I want you to, when they start to be opinionated and push back or suggest things, or you're telling them something and they're giving you advice, or you should do this, or why don't you do this, or let's go climb this mountain, and you don't feel like, oh, that it looks a little rocky. They go, come on, come on. I want you to get in touch with Julie's comfort level. And then you got to ask it. Then you got to ask a diagnostic question. Should I be uncomfortable? Because that might answer the question of also, why did passive guys feel so natural and good? Because I've never entered into that space of how much push can I stand up to before I lose my freedom. And let me tell you this, the more pressure, quote unquote, you can withstand, and I mean that in a good way, then the more assertiveness, achievement oriented, pushy, great guy you can be with, because you're not going to be a doormat, and it's going to open up a lot more options. You know, if you know, one of the reasons, I don't know if she would kill me if she heard me saying this. One of the reasons I first fell in love with my wife is you just don't have to, anybody that knows her, you don't have to guess what she's thinking. She's going to give it to you. And I loved it. Just loved it. Because she would challenge and but I have friends that go, whoa, I don't, you know, I said this, and, you know, and they felt like, you know, that nobody ever really challenged me on that before. It's kind of like, I know, isn't it great? Well, I feel like it's great. Somebody else may not feel that way. And she and I love that, you know, that iron sharpening iron with each other kind of thing. But there is a kind of person that she's not controlling. There's a kind of person that when you say, no, I don't want to do that, then they start to punish you for your freedom, manipulate you for your freedom, put guilt upon you for your freedom, and your no is not loved. So I want you with somebody that's strong, that challenges you, but your no is absolutely worshiped, adored, and he throws roses at your no. instead of makes you feel bad about it. That's probably the toxic line you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help?
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. This is a joy. I appreciate it.
Well, I'll tell you one more little snippet. I can't remember where this came from. I was talking to a woman it was either on the radio or at a seminar or something one day, and she was describing her boyfriend. He was really, really controlling, and and just, the guy was just. The more I heard him about it, I go, you know what? This guy's acting like a pig. I think you need a swine test. When you go out on dates, I think you need a good swine test. So why and you know why I said that? Because Jesus said it. He said, "Don't throw your pearls before swine."
Mm-hmm.
So, Julie, your heart is a pearl. Listen to me here. It's a jewel. It's a treasure. This person called Julie, how can I describe you? God made you with a heart, a mind, a soul, strength, passions, gifts, talents. You're a treasure. Now, if somebody tramples your treasures, your heart, your mind, your soul, your ability to say yes or no or want what you want, then he said, don't cast your pearls before that person. So here's a good swine test for your question. You carry it around in your purse.
Love it.
It's the word no. And soon in the relationship, if he wants to do something you don't want to do, maybe it's dinner or a movie, or some areas it's even more than that. You don't feel comfortable. You say, no, I really don't do that. I like to do this. Find out if that no is treasured or not. Because then you'll find out if your freedom is loved. And if you find out that your freedom is loved, then there's a lot of space for love to exist in that relationship. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Try that. Thanks for your call. Call me back. I want to hear how it goes.